Hi there, welcome to the Raven's Call. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Gothi of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas, and I am your host. And this is, if you're new to the channel, this is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects. And if you're new to the show, that means you still need to come down and hit subscribe down below. Please become a subscriber to the channel, ding the bell. That'll give you the notifications necessary to stay up to date on everything that I'm doing, so you won't miss any content. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. The more you interact with my videos, hit like on the videos, comment, stuff like that. The more you interact, the more you will see my videos and videos related to mine, like other heathen-related videos, in your newsfeed. So I've got a big back catalog of all kinds of stuff that we've covered, everything from the heathen soul complex to religious elements, spiritual elements, and it's all back there. Give it a look-see. I think you'll find something in the whole mess that might be of interest to you. At least I hope you do. So without any further ado, if you guys want to contact me for anything, my contact information is down below. I'm trying to cut down on the end spiel a little bit. So this is episode 50. I never really thought we would have hit this. You know, I've struggled a little bit with figuring out what I was going to do for episode 50, you know, because episode 50 marks kind of a big thing. There's going to be, and the two don't jive completely, but there's episode 50, and then of course there's the 1 year anniversary of the channel, which is going to be in November. I think November 24th or something like that was when I dropped the first video up on YouTube. Now I've had my YouTube channel for longer than that, but I used to use it for stupid dorky stuff and rebranded it for The Raven's Call and Wordweaver Productions. So this is kind of what you see here. Now, I was going to go ahead and I was toying back and forth what I was going to do with this episode, you know, because I could go through and just jump off into the next thing, or I could take just a few minutes and kind of do a retrospective kind of deal, look back at the year and look back at kind of let you guys know a little bit about me. I know a lot of people who have jumped on and tried to communicate with me online have asked some questions specifically about me and about Ridgar. And so I can give you at least a little bit of backstory there, okay? So if you're not interested in that, then this is probably going to be a boring episode for you. But anyway, it's always a little weird to talk about oneself on one of these videos. I can talk about heathenry all day long. Talk about myself is a little bit different. So it feels a little arrogant, a little, you know, egocentric. So I'm trying not to make this too narcissistic for you guys. But, you know, I came to heathenry ages ago. I'm one of those guys, much like many of you, who, when I found heathenry, it was kind of a homecoming. I started life as a wanderer. I grew up in a non-Christian household. Mom and dad were... My dad was non-denominational Christian, and my mom was kind of a wanderer herself. She doesn't really claim any one thing per se. And so they wanted to make sure that growing up, I got the religious freedoms necessary to seek out my own spiritual path, my own religious identity. And they were very, very careful not to press anything. Now, I got some outside influences trying to push. I am in East Texas, the buckle of the Bible Belt. There's literally a church on every corner. If you don't believe me, pull up Google Maps. You'll find out. So, I mean, I grew up in a very heavily Christianized area. But I didn't grow up in a Christian household, which is different, I know, than a lot of my viewers, as I'm finding out. Most of my viewers have grown up in Christian households with Christian parents and had to deal with all that baggage. I had the luxury, and yes, I will admit it's luxury. It's good, honest, inherited orlog. I had the luxury of not having that baggage. So I got to start heathenry kind of fresh, as it were. I didn't have a whole lot of holdovers, didn't have a whole lot of baggage from all of that. And I discovered it during my wanderings. You know, it was during my early teenage years that I started to discover the Norse gods. And I'd always known about my ancestry and whatnot, tying back to Norway. I've got a good, strong Norwegian family. Which I always took a great deal of pride in because I loved my family and I loved knowing about where we came from, what our story was. Our family started off in Norway just outside of Oslo, as far back as we can trace. And then my great uncle Melvin did a lot of the genealogy research. He actually traced us back to King Magnus the Barefoot, He was able to link us all the way back there, but good strong linkage all the way back to just outside of Oslo, what is now currently Oslo, wasn't at the time. It was a Sjerven farmstead there, which Sjerven is my last name. In Norway it was Sjerven, spelled S-K-J, because in Norwegian the S next to a consonant like that makes a sh sound, and then the J makes a y. So it was actually Sjerven, so Sjerven. And Sjerven farm is about as far back as he can give good, strong, this is where the Sjerven family came from. Everything else after that gets a little tangential. But he did some awesome research. I still have all the family tree stuff, and it's cool as can be. I love it. So anyway, the family came over from Norway about 5 generations back or so, and my grandfather, Oscar Ole Sjerven, was born up in North Dakota, and North or South Dakota. He was born up in the Dakotas somewhere, and his mama spoke fluent Norwegian, and so we haven't been over here all that long. There's a branch of the family that spun off up through Canada. I've actually met some of those folks online, at least Facebook. Some cool folks. There's some crazy folks. There's a couple of Sjervens up there in the Minnesota, Canada area that are kind of crazy. There's even a Sjerven that plays hockey, like professional. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, my grandfather's branch spun off and went over to California, and that's where my dad was born. And then he came to Texas with the whole family, started up a family business here, selling machinery and fixing machinery, concrete supplies, things like that. So we've got a local business, the Acme Machinery and Supply Company here in East Texas. If you ever need contracting needs, go check out my dad. It's a family-run business, has been since they bought it back in the day. Anyway, shameless plug aside. We ended up settling up in East Texas in Tyler, which is where I was born, where my brothers were born, and we grew up here. And so I started searching from a very early age. I discovered, because of my love of my family and these ties, I discovered an interest in Norse mythology. And as I continued to search and I explored every different path known to man at a very young age, I'm bouncing all over the place. I always found myself coming back to Odin, Thor, Frigg, and that's kind of just what I accepted to be true. I didn't even know there was a name for it at the time, because there wasn't a whole lot out there. The internet wasn't quite the thing that it is now. I mean, when I started searching, the internet wasn't a thing, not at least for public consumption. It was, we were trading books and stuff back and forth. This was AOL dial-up days kind of thing, back when the internet came on a little floppy disk that you got in the mail, and it was free for a while, but that was okay because it was like not having it. 2 hours for a JPEG to load. Anyway, and then before that, when it was dial-up and all that, when it was like hand crank dialed phones, landlines, no internet. So I've been around for a little bit. Not old, but I'm not young either. So I ended up searching, and finally, somewhere in my teenage years, discovered the term heathenry and discovered there was actually a name for what I believed in. And I started looking at some of the belief system, the structure, the ethics, the values, and everything that came up was something that hit home for me. And so the more I dug, the more I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I was always meant to be. And so with my mind, I start delving into deep stuff. I start doing research into all kinds of things, metaphysical aspects, the religious aspects, the rituals, the roles, the symbolism, the runes. I went deep off into studying the runes because I have an interest in the woo-woo, the esoteric side of things. And so I've kind of found my way there. And so all of that kind of how I came to understand that I was heathen, and I delved off into all of this stuff. Now, fast forward to about the year 2009, I think it was. We end up meeting up, it's either 2009, 2010. I meet up with Mike Spires up there in Bergfield Park, which is a park here in the Tyler area. And he was hosting a heathen meetup in the area, and was inviting other heathens to come out and meet and greet and just get to know each other. I actually was on my way out of town to a Blue Oyster Cult concert, and when this popped up, I was like, no, I need to go to this because holy crap, there are other heathens in the area. I need to check this out. So I blew off a Blue Oyster Cult concert to go meet Mike and the other heathens at what would become known as East Texas Heathens. Now, Mike and I hit it off immediately, became fast friends. He was always more interested in the administrative, the cultural side of things, and I was always more interested in the esoteric, woo-woo kind of spiritual, religious side of things as well. And so, we got to talking and made a great team in kind of planning out rituals and things like this that we would do together. And from that budding friendship and our families getting to know each other and really getting to enjoy spending time together, proving our worth to one another, we end up forming our tribe back in about, I think it was 2010 was the year that we actually formed Ridgar. Now, at the time, Ridgar, the name, this is something I'm particularly proud of because I did come up with the name and with the bind rune, which you see pictured down in one of the bottom corners. I can't ever remember. I think it's that one. But anyway, it's the watermark. The Ridgar bind rune is a mixture of all of the letters, the sounds, the phonemes that make up Ridgar, our name. And the interesting thing about Ridgar and the way we started, let's kind of give you guys an idea on, if you're starting up your own tribes and whatnot. Ridgar, because we came from different walks of life, Mike was very Anglo-Saxon in the way that he did things. And my family was very Norse Icelandic because that's just kind of the aesthetic that spoke to us. And so when we melded the two families, Ridgar became a melding of the two traditions. We had a little bit of Anglo-Saxon, we had a little bit of Norse Icelandic. So the name Ridgar is a composite of two words. It's Rith, which hopefully I remember to add that down here. Rith, which is Old Norse for storm, and Gar, which is Anglo-Saxon, Old English for spear. So Ridgar is the storm spear. The Ridgar folk are the storm spear tribe. For those of you that are familiar with kennings and whatnot, storm spear is a kenning. It's a modern invention, my own invention as far as that goes. I haven't heard it said before, but it's obvious, so I'm sure it has been. If not, then millions of poets have missed the boat on this one. But anyway, storm spear means lightning, obviously. And with that, we formed the tribe at the first LATP, Lightning Across the Plains, that I attended. It was a great time, fantastic. Got to meet some absolutely wonderful folks. Anyway, the bind rune itself is a mixture of all of the runes that represent the phonemes of the name Ridgar. Ridgar itself is a mixture of the multiple cultural influences that gave birth to Ridgar. Now, not too long ago, because Mike served as our first chieftain and I served as Gothi in the purely priest role within the tribe, priest slash kind of sorcerer sort of role, and Mike was very much the administrative chieftain side of things. Well, Mike's interest in Anglo-Saxon heathenry led him down a different path, and so he ended up leaving the tribe a couple of years ago in order to pursue his more Reconstruction-minded Anglo-Saxon influence. It's not truly Anglo-Saxon. If you talk to Mike, you find out he goes much further back than Anglo-Saxon. He's got a very specific area that he looks at, specific time frame. It's really fascinating to talk to him about it. He's a brilliant guy, knows what he's talking about. Anyway, so he goes to pursue that and finds a group. I don't want to divulge too much information there, but he finds a group that is perfect for him, and he fits right in. So, boom, fantastic transition. He's doing extremely well, and I am super, super proud of him. So, after that, we restructure the tribe, and I take over full leadership of the tribe in more of the Icelandic Gothi sense of things, the mixture of chieftain and priest, as we talked about in my previous video on Gothi, the role of the modern Gothi. So that kind of leads to how Ridgar got here. Now with East Texas Heathens, the meetup group that I've got, Mike officially started that, then I kind of took it over. But when Ridgar started getting hot and heavy and doing really a lot of things, we got really, really active. fewer and fewer people were coming to the ETH meetups. It's just the wrong time for it at that time. So we kind of let that go. And then here a few years ago, I got more than a few now. I got some more interest popping up. People would pop up on the page and, make a comment, throw a like, request to join the group. And I tell them, hey, look, the group is defunct. It's not really active right now. But finally I said, you know what? This is getting to be a pattern. Let's reopen this thing and see what takes off. And so we reopen ETH. And in doing so, I actually met Jacob, one of my Jarls. We met him through that process. The cooks who are Fostra to us, Fosters, that are joining the tribe at the moment. We met them through ETH. So ETH has turned out to be a wonderful networking tool. I've got friends and family that come out to it all the time. I've got regulars that come out, learn all the time, add great information to the conversations, bring pieces of themselves. And so it turns out to be a really cool kind of thing that we all do together. And it's an ongoing thing. So that's kind of ETH side of things. All right. So after taking over the tribe, I continue to make the tribe work. I continue to work on ETH. I continue to work on the channel, the videos, and currently, just a little plug here, currently I'm working on a book. I don't know if you guys follow the Weaving Words side of the channel, because it doesn't post very often. These videos take far less prep for me to do because I can pretty much just stand in front of the camera and talk for 30 minutes. That's not a problem. Weaving Words is my storytelling side of things, and it does involve front-end work because most of what I perform there is my own invention, my own writing, my own IP. The few things that I perform that are not my own IP require even more work because I have to go through and learn the stories to be able to reproduce them. So, but one of the stories that I have been working on for my tribe particularly is the saga of Bjorn Thorolfsson. And it's a story that's done very much in storytelling style, plus influenced by the sagas as far as my style in handling it. Anyway, I've been working on this for over a year now. Right at a year. I think I told the first chapter Winter Nights last year. It was only ever meant to be a spoken story that I would tell amongst my tribe that we might pass down through Edgar, just to, impart some knowledge. I like to include in the story different elements of heathenry, different things as I see the world, things like ethics or family. Family is a huge part of this. It all centers around the titular character, Bjorn Thorolfsson, but like the sagas, even though he is the titular character, his focus doesn't come until much later in the story. Everything else is the other people around him that build up his story, which is a common thing that I have seen in the sagas and Heimskringla, things like that. A chapter or a saga may be named after an individual, but you may have to read, about 3 of his predecessors before you actually get to him to hear his story, because all of this needed to be said for his story to make sense. So anyway, this is something that my significant other, my lady, Twyla, has convinced me to turn into a book. So I'm working on that right now. The book is going to proofread at the moment. Working on some file format aspects there, but I've got it out to my proofreading team to be looked over, and then comes the gutting and revisions. And then we'll see how many rounds of proofing we do before I figure out how to get this thing published. But this will be my first published book. I've published poems before, but this will be my first published book. So this is new territory for me. I'm really excited about it. I have a lot of fun with this, and I really hope you guys are going to like it. Not a lot of people have watched the videos for the stories over there on Weaving Words, but I know I've only got the first 3 chapters up, I believe. I think I've got 3 chapters up. It's a 7-chapter thing, but each chapter is an independent story. It's an anthology sort of thing. Anyway, I really hope you guys like it, and when it gets closer to being done, I will let people know. I'm not going to be plugging the book all the time on the channel. That gets kind of redundant. I don't think people really care about that so much. So, well, I mean, I know you guys care, but you know, y'all don't want to hear the commercial every time I do a video about, hey, I'm working on a book. Wait till it's done, and then I'll let you guys know. And then if you want it, get it. If not, no sweat. I didn't ever think this would take off. So, so thank you guys. All right. Now I know I've shared a little bit about myself. I've shared a little bit about how my tribe came to be. At least the name and kind of the generalities of the tribe, the leadership of the tribe, etc. Yeah, I'm not sharing a lot about the particulars of the individual members of my tribe, specifically because I'm the one on camera, not them. So I'm not going to throw them under the bus and blast all their personal information out on YouTube. I don't mind sharing a bit about myself, about my own story, partially because I know you guys have similar stories. You know, I hear it all the time. The number one story I hear from people in how they came to heathenry is it felt like a homecoming. It felt like I found my way home, found the place that I belong, where I'm supposed to be. It's a common thread. It comes back again and again and again. And I love it because it's true. Because you do. You find your way home. You find your way to where you're supposed to be, and it fits, you know? Now, you guys can go back and watch my other videos on ancestor veneration, not racism is one of them. I go on a couple of tangents, but, you know, I'm one that does not believe that race has anything to do with whether or not you can be a heathen. I believe that as long as you honor the gods and goddesses, your ancestors, the Vatir of the land, and your folk, you're a good heathen in my book. So, you'll notice that skin color, nationality has nothing to do with it. None of that. So, anyway, I hope that this wasn't too much of an aside, a weird, you know, I hope you guys don't feel like I wasted your time in this. I wanted to do something kind of special for the 50th episode, because here's the deal. This is a little retrospective part. We've covered a lot of subjects up to this point, and when I started this project, I wasn't sure exactly where we were going to go, and I'm still not 100% sure. A lot of times I come up with the topic that I'm going to record on like 5 minutes before I turn the camera on. It's just kind of how my brain works. I jump in and I do. So what I've been working on is kind of trying to build some thoughts about different projects that I can do through the channel, different elements that I can bring forward. You know, not that long ago I did the whole state of the channel address where I asked everybody kind of some feedback on some particular subjects relating to the channel. Mostly I wanted to see if you guys liked the video length format, and unanimously you guys all said, I don't think anybody said they wanted a shorter video. I think everybody that I got feedback from, unless I missed somebody, I think just about everybody that gave me feedback said that they prefer the longer format. They may watch it in chunks, which I'll take into account when I look at my analytics and stuff, because the analytics don't matter. I mean, they're neat, they're fun, don't get me wrong, but I needed to know kind of, because it looks like from the analytics that people aren't watching the videos all the way through. It's different when you can come in and see that, you know, there are people that are watching them all the way through. They're just doing it in chunks, and that affects the playback numbers, the average play length, things like that. Which is by no means, you guys watch the videos how you want to watch the videos. The feedback is so that I can better interpret the analytics that I'm getting, and the analytics, the only thing they help me do is figure out which of these videos you guys actually watch, enjoy, and all of that. Interesting phenomenon on YouTube. Nobody hits like on videos. None of my videos have a huge amount of likes. I think just recently, like within the last month or so, my Heathenry 101 video bumped up over 100 likes, which was the first of my videos to hit over 100 likes. And this was well after it hit over 1,000 views. As of today, the filming of this video, it's at over 2,000 views. So rock on, you guys are awesome. Of course, it's titled Heathenry 101. I mean, you could do clickbait with titles that are less catchy than that. of course people are going to click on Heathenry 101, but not a lot of people necessarily stay all the way through. So it's not like out of that 2,000 views, I think that, 2,000 people have sat down and just watched it enraptured, all that. No, I get it. It's been watched in chunks. It's been watched in 5, 10 minutes. It's a longer video. And some people jump in, look at it, and go, man, this video is echoey because it's before I had the mic. And it was in the conference room over yonder, so there's a bad echo in there. And then some people are more hardcore recon on stuff and don't like my approach. Like somebody went through and downvoted my advice to newbie heathens. I'm sure I know the reason why. And I'm almost certain that person is probably on the more reconstructionist side of things, which is fine. Totally fine. I get it. I understand it. I'm actually surprised I don't have more thumbs downs. I think most of those people, instead of hitting thumbs down, just leave the channel, which is totally fine. I completely respect it, and that's all right. I anticipated some blowback. Nobody gets to sit up here and say, I'm doing a heathen channel and not have some kind of blowback. So, yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, one of the things I'm going to do here coming up, I think, is a video on runes. So that'll be coming up. I'm going to do a base video on runes, and then I may feel out how to do a short series on the individual runes for more of the esoteric look of things, the esoteric work with the runes. I'll show you guys my own rune set, things like that. But I'm going to intersperse that with, and I think this is a project that I want to take on. I'm going to talk about some of the gods in particular. Now, there are tons of really good videos out there. All right, when I started this, I didn't think anybody was really doing what I was doing until my videos started to get around, and I saw other people that were doing a lot of what I'm doing. There's Jesse over at Midgard's Musings. Great channel, love his stuff. Go subscribe if you haven't. Watch his stuff, fantastic. He and I actually bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, and some of the video ideas I've gotten for this channel have come from watching his stuff. Vice versa. There's Aratharkar, who is over in, I believe, Denmark. Don't hold me to that. But he does things more of a historical look at things, plus some of the esoteric side. I think he's an archaeologist, and he does a really good channel. I really like his stuff. And then, of course, there's Jackson Crawford stuff, which is absolutely fantastic. So there's tons of videos out there. So I'm not always going to grab onto the most obvious title and jump in and say, let's do a video on Odin. I will probably do a video on Odin. I consider myself to be an Odin'sman. I have particular views when it comes to the concept of patron gods and goddesses. I'm not a huge fan of the concept of patron gods and goddesses. The reason that I would say I'm an Odin'sman is because I tend to identify more with Odin, but I work with the entire tribe of the gods because that's what we do. We work with the entire tribe of the gods. Anyway, that'll be another video I do. We're going to talk about patron gods and goddesses somewhere in the midst, talking about the gods and goddesses. But that's an obvious one. You can go through and just about everybody's got a video on the gods and goddesses. So when I do my God series, I am not going to go through and pull all of the research and all the materials that say, at this point in time, Tyr was seen as the sky god, and then it transitions to Odin at this time. I may touch on those things as common knowledge, but you guys can do the research on that. It's out there. I've watched videos from these guys where they cover those exact things. So when I do it, I may touch a little bit on it, but I'm probably going to go off into my own insights and my own kind of take on things, and worry less about where the gods came from, historically speaking and archaeologically speaking, and worry more about the gods as I understand them. And maybe strike up some conversations based on that kind of information, but it'll be what it is. So anyway, what was going to start out as just a quick, hey, here's a little bit about my history, here's a little bit about where I've come from and what I've been through, and a brief retrospective on the channel and a little forecast as to where we're going, turned into 30 minutes of me talking about myself and the channel. So yeah, it proved to be just about as narcissistic as I was afraid it was going to. So anyway, seriously guys, I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much for following my channel, for letting us get 50 videos in. We're going to see where this goes. I've got plenty going on up here as far as mind fires that I can just burn onto the screen. mostly it's me taking something and wrapping my head and going, oh wait, I need to do a video about that. You would be amazed at the things that just pass through and don't actually get turned into videos. I'm going to try and grab more of those and turn them into videos. A lot of what we had to do up to this point was lay groundwork so that you guys could understand me a little bit better. I think the Fera episode should have made that clear, that a lot of what we were doing up to now was establishing groundwork so that the crazy stuff that I come up with hereafter makes a little bit more sense. At least I hope so. We'll see. So, stay tuned, guys. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm looking at working on, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Please, 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 if you've got any questions for me, if you've got any kind of feedback, all the contact information is down below. I'm not going to go through and do the whole bit by bit in the video again. Just grab the description. It's all there for a reason. Somebody sent me this wonderful poem on Saraha the other day. I love it. It's awesome. So I may pull it out and read it at some point in time on the channel, but I don't have it pulled up right now. But I really, really dig the feedback, and I don't mind answering questions. I've discovered that people like to email me stuff that's longer. Some people hit me up on Messenger, on Facebook, or on the group Word Weaver Productions. And they'll ask me questions about startup stuff, meetup stuff. I love it. I dig it. Don't get me wrong. I am not the end-all be-all of information when it comes to heathenry, all right? I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything. I am constantly learning. I'm constantly building and developing, but I don't mind sharing my experiences with you guys and my own insights as to what I've been through and what I've done. How you guys do it, that's up to you. Not my hall, not my call. But if you need some insight, let me know. If you need help in trying to figure out kind of the logistics on what to do as far as building grassroots movements in your area, let me know. I get that a lot. And then everybody asks me, how do I get started in heathenry? I got you. It's coming up. I'm going to do a video on some intro stuff. Aside from just my advice to newbie heathens, I'm going to pull some stuff as far as recommended reading lists and things like that. So we'll do a breakdown on my recommendations for how do I get started in heathenry in a near future video. All right. So I think the rune one, my first rune video, comes up first, but I'm going to intersperse the rune aspects. I don't think I'm going to do them all shotgun like I did the Soul Complex, but that one needed to be done shotgun. So anyway, thank you guys. Thank you so much. 50 episodes, all because of you, because we've got 500 something followers right now. I think it was 540 when I got up this morning. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And by the time this actually airs, this will air a week after I filmed it, the numbers will be up or down accordingly. The Farah episode hasn't hit yet as of the time of this filming, so I may lose a half of my viewership because they're like, this guy's crazy. Or I may gain a lot because this guy's got the cojones to jump out there and do some crazy stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for continuing to watch. And let's see where we go from here. How many more episodes we can crank out of this thing. So, hail. May your ancestors smile on you.